All right. If hitting record still feels like a big deal, like, oh, I got to have the perfect script, I've got to have the right setup, the perfect lighting, today's show is designed to fix that. Because here's the thing to know: YouTube videos, recording them doesn't have to be this big production. Sometimes we look at the biggest channels, we go, oh, I've got to live up to that with their $1 million budgets. And the truth is, you don't, especially as a business owner. You can still look professional and get things done quickly. By the end of this, you're going to have a simpler process and shorter recording sessions. So, what we're going to cover today: first, simplifying your setup, because the simpler it is to start recording with less friction, the better. Next, we're going to talk about why you should stop trying to memorize scripts. And I've actually set up a special different camera today so I can show you specifically how I record, the process that saves me a lot of time and has it still come across as being really, really natural. So that is going to come up. Let's see. We also have by the way, Candy is running late. She is stuck in traffic, so she'll be here in just a few seconds. We're also going to talk about how to sound more natural on camera, and then some tips to bring it all together. Like, when should you batch record? When is it better to just do one video of the time, at a time? So that is all on the way during today's episode of YouTube Backstage. So I see we have people coming in live. If you are here, say hi in the chat. Would love to know where you are watching from today as we get started. And let me just fire a couple of things here. I'm getting an error, but that's okay. We'll just let that one go. We're experimenting with this stream, trying to do like multi-stream, streaming to Instagram and things like that. But if that doesn't work, YouTube is where we primarily want to focus on things. So let's start off talking about how to simplify your setup. Okay. So this is one of the best things you can do. And when I first started, I actually had a setup that took me probably 30 minutes to set up and start recording. Like, just to get ready to record. I was filming on my phone in our living room. So first I had to sometimes pick up the living room. I had to set up I had a tripod that the phone was on, and then I had this wired mic, which I'll show you, that I still recommend because they still make it. It's still really good, in just a second. And it was a massive production. So because of that, and we had 2 young kids at home, I would ask my wife, Candy, to take the kids somewhere once a quarter. That was my only ask. Once a quarter, take them somewhere to entertain them for like 4 hours, and I will record 3 months of videos in one setting. That was my setup. Now, I did 25 videos that way, and then eventually I got to the point where it was like, you know what? I would much prefer to be able to record without quite so much prep, maybe not have to worry about the window light. So after 25 videos, I did finally invest in some gear, and we can talk about that today as well. But the biggest thing with this is you are going to want, sorry, I'm just checking my window so I can see when she does call in. The biggest thing is the simpler you can have your setup, the better. Like, and the technology is better now. When I started, I will just go ahead and call out my fellow perfectionists or recovering perfectionists. There is no such thing as perfect on YouTube. In fact, I think you could argue that it could hurt you in 2026. I'd love to know in the comments right now, what do you think about the idea of, like, when you see a video that's so perfect now in 2026, knowing what AI is capable of, that we have these AI fake videos, that we have these, AI generated graphics, different things like that. Do you feel trust faster when you see someone that looks like they're sitting in their childhood bedroom at their parents' house in Seattle? Or do you still like all of the polish? I would love to know in the comments right now. But I think, perfectionism could even hurt you in 2026. The only thing you need is the ability to have them see and hear you. That should be your goal. So the simpler you can do that, the better. The simpler that you can take everything and make it so that you can just walk in and record. And you don't have to start that way. That's just kind of the goal that you're trying to work toward here. So, oops, let's see. There's the screen with Candy. I mean, here, clearly things are a little bit different today. So I'm just double checking that we have things set up right. All right, Melanie says, "Love seeing real humans." Yeah, I saw somebody actually say about, I think it was maybe last year now. I was gonna say a little over 6 months ago, and he said, "I trust somebody more when I've seen them in their in their office, in their living room, in their kitchen, like in multiple locations. Not that AI couldn't do that same thing, but yeah, love that. All right, Linda says, greetings from Quebec. I posted a video yesterday, not perfect, but I broke the internal barrier. Awesome, that's great to see. And Linda also said, I prefer the rough and real. Rough and real, okay, that's a way. The polish is less important in 2026. And then Linda went on to say, as long as they are saying something that touches me. And that really is the key with that, Linda, is if there's an emotional connection with the host, with the presenter, with the video. YouTube did this big study and found that's more important than technical quality, graphics, music, all of it. Emotion is everything. And as business owners, if you are solving a problem, you don't need you don't have to sit there and go, all right, how am I going to make them cry in this video? You literally just need to solve the problem that they have, or help them understand how to solve it, or see it in a different light. All of that has the emotion built in, which is really, really cool. So let's talk about what simple looks like. So if you're getting started, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced, but if you can simplify your setup. I started my channel in the living room, like I said, cleaning up the floors, using my phone as a camera and a $15 microphone. That was it. And then I used a window for light. Same thing I'm doing here today. So I'm not at home in Arizona. I'm on the road in Seattle, and I'm using a window for light. When Candy signs in, you'll see she's sitting out on the patio because that's where there was good light, unless we get storms. We may get storms today, so we'll see what happens. But that's the kind of thing, like window light, everybody looks best in natural light anyway. So I always encourage you to just start with basic window light. No need for anything else. Now, eventually you may want to get lights, and that's totally, totally fine. So that's your light. Your phone can be your camera. And then the last part is, of course, sound. So when I started my channel, I used this $15 wired microphone. I'm going to turn it on so you can hear it here in just a second. Hopefully it doesn't sound as good as my $200 or $300 microphone, but it might, depending on the speakers you're on. So this is a $15 microphone. You can get them on Amazon. They still sell them. It'll plug into your computer. It'll plug into phones, pretty much anywhere. You might have to get an adapter depending on what your phone has in terms of plugs, but love this thing. Can't recommend it enough. In fact, here, let me switch to it here real quick. Go here. Okay. So now I'm talking on this $15 microphone. So I would love to know, how different does it sound in the chat? If you heard before and you heard after, is it dramatically different? The more important question, again, since this one costs a lot more than this white one in front of me, hopefully it doesn't sound quite as good on the $15 microphone. But the point is, assuming I can't actually hear it to monitor it, so I don't know if I'm holding it too close or not. But the point is, hopefully any microphone is going to give you decent enough sound for video. And if I did all my videos with this microphone, I would probably be fine. In fact, I know that because that's how I started. I just had this microphone, came with a clip it to your shirt, and then just use it like that. So that's really how you can start. So let's see. Excellent. Sounds excellent. Yeah. Again, $15 microphone. By the way, real quick, if you want to check out any of this gear, we've just been building a new gear page. Whoops, that got moved up there. So if you go to donebylunch.co/gear, you can see links to everything that I'm showing you here. So let's go back to the main microphone here, so I don't hold this one up. Okay, there we go. Gord2440 says, on my tiny little laptop speaker, it sounds the same. Yeah, exactly. The better the speaker, the more of a difference it's going to make. So another one that I've got later, more recently, that I use sometimes, especially if I'm not at my desk, but you could totally use this at your desk, is this DJI Mic Mini. And I love this one. And here, let me just plug it in now. So if you move around a lot, you want something that clips, you don't want a big microphone like this sitting in your face, then this can be a good one to use. So I'll switch to it here. DJI Mic Mini. All right. Hello. All right. So now I'm on this little tiny mic. Again, it can clip to you here. It also has a magnet, so you can put the magnet inside your shirt and then clip to it anywhere, even if you don't have a collar or anything like that. And the other thing I love about this one, you can get different configurations, but the one I have, it comes with this full box. This box is kind of, if you've ever had like Apple AirPods, this box is also the charger. So it actually comes with a transmitter and two different microphones. So you can actually have two microphones, which is great if you're going to be filming a lot and one's dead, or if you have two people, or you want to pick up you and ambient noise or anything like that. So I love this thing. I can't remember what this little kit cost, but this thing has been great. It is one more step, obviously, to set up, just like the plug-in one. You have to make sure it's connected with the wireless and things like that. Generally, I don't like using wireless microphones unless I absolutely have to, and have a good reason for it. But anyway, this is a great little microphone. And then I'm going to go back to my main microphone here. All right. So now back on the main microphone. This is the one that I use for everything for the most part, unless I have a reason to use this smaller one. Occasionally, if I'm showing something, I might, use the small one instead, or if I'm drawing on a whiteboard or something like that. Because obviously, if I turn away from this one, you won't be able to hear me, or won't be able to hear me as well. But the biggest thing, like the evolution of the filming setup for me started with this big thing that took me 30 minutes to set up, 30 minutes to break down. Well, maybe less to break down because I'd already cleaned the living room where I was filming, asking everybody to leave the house because, we had this big open floor plan, to now I have it in an office. It's not even a real office. It's corner of an office. Like I tell people, it's like 3 meters, like 3 meters. It is smaller than prison cells. And I literally walk in. I've even got an Amazon smart speaker. I won't say the name just in case anyone has one that's near them right now. And I tell it to turn on the studio lights, and I hit record, and that's it. And that's all I have to do. The camera's always in place. The mic's always in place. So the more friction you can use, the better. But I just don't want it to make you feel like, oh, I've got to go get a bunch of stuff just to get started. Okay. All right. Next, let's talk about how to stop memorizing scripts and still sound really natural when you are making your videos here. So, and let me just check in with the comments. Everyone says, okay, yeah, the microphone still sounded great. The cheaper ones, that's awesome. Ashley says that's the one we have. Yeah, these are all great. I've never been disappointed in any of these ones that I've bought, and it all kind of depends on your your budget and what you want the most. So again, I put that link up there, donebylunch.co/gear, if you want to get links and check out any of the other stuff that we recommend with that. Cameras are on there, different things like that. So, all right, let's now talk all about the ability to record without memorizing. Now, I actually, like, full disclosure, actually, you'll see it here in a second when I switched camera. So we'll go to this wide one now. So I actually do have a teleprompter right here in front of me. And I use this for live streams just to have some notes in front of it. So I've got my outline on it. And then there's also this podcast that another company hired me to co-host. And I'm the main anchor, and there's a lot of details. And so I have, like, bullet points for that as well. But when I do YouTube videos, I actually don't use this at all. Oh, the other thing it's cool for is maintaining eye contact when you're on calls, because you can put the person's face like right where the camera is. But I don't use it normally. So what the normal process when I'm recording here is, here, let me just come back to this one for a second. We're trying to get away from memorizing because it takes a really long time, right? Even if you're memorizing it in chunks. But the biggest thing is, I think it sounds artificial, and I think it hurts trust. There are very few people that can read well and sound like they're speaking, or sound just like they're speaking. Even professional, like TV people. I have a lot of friends that work in TV, and then they try and, from TV, do YouTube or Instagram Reels or something like that. And they come across and they start talking like an announcer. And in our next thing we're talking about, it's going to be this and it's going to be this. And they feel like it has to be all polished. But we just talked about how natural, real, what did Linda say? Raw and rough and raw. Like, that's what is connecting with people. And so you want to get away from that reading field no matter what. And with what I'm about to show you, you no longer have to actually just read a script, which is, or memorize a script, which is nice. So the best compliment that I ever get from people is if I'm on a call with them or I meet them in person, they say, oh, you sound just like you do in your videos. And I'm sure not everybody believes that universally. Sometimes I'm probably a little more animated or hyped up in my video if I'm excited to be talking about something, and then I run into somebody on a day when I'm tired. I'm sure that I don't sound exactly the same. But first thing is, rather than writing a word-for-word script, and I know this makes some people really uncomfortable, because when I coach people, we run into this all the time. Oh, I can't do word for word. I've got to I have to do word for word. It's just the way that I am. And so for those people, I encourage them, okay, start with that way. But then once you get a little more comfortable, once you've made a few videos, see if you could do it just from an outline. The beauty of an outline is you just have the basic things that you want to talk about. And then from there, you turn around and ad lib around them. And that's how it's going to come across the most naturally. We're hearing right now a lot about AI slop, right? AI slop in writing primarily, but it's the same thing. I would say the AI slop version of this. I'm just going to pull up my outline here. The AI slop version of this, of what we're talking about, is essentially not speaking the way that you normally speak because you had a word for word script. Ad libbing gets you out of that. It's like you're giving an extemporaneous speech, just, speaking off the top of your head. And of course, it takes away the memorization, which is also a key part here because, again, that can save you a lot of time. So, let me see. Teresa says, "Oh, really, Teresa? I didn't know this." Teresa is in our Growth Lab community. Best USA road trips. I'm a year and I still script it all. I'm not good at small talk. I would encourage you, Teresa, to well, we'll come back at the end, and I'm going to share a few things about like just how to come across more natural beyond what I'm about to show you here. But I do think with practice you can. I will say, as long as you believe you're not good at small talk and tell yourself that this is just the way we are as humans, then you won't be. Like we have to believe something's possible, and obviously you haven't gotten there yet, and that's totally fine. So let me go back to our wide camera here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically show you exactly how I do this. And just to give you a context here. So this is the prompter that's in front of me. I'm not going to be looking at that at all. That's got the outline for this live stream. It has nothing with that. This monitor here, which you can, I guess, yeah, kind of see the side of, this is my actual script outline for my video. And I'll show it to you in a second so that you can see. Oh, actually, maybe it's better just to show right now. Let me switch to that so you can just kind of see what's on here, just so you know what I'm reading from. So go here. So this is from our YT90 script writing app. And so here's the opening hook. You can see these are just bullet points. I mean, there's a lot of words here, but I'm going to ad lib from them. I'm not going to say exactly what they are. So I'm going to go back to our wide camera here. And what you're going to see me do is I'm going to look at the notes here on my right on this monitor. Then I'm going to turn back to the camera to deliver them. And there's a couple of things you want to do to make sure to get this right as you go. Okay. But I'll share those in a second. So I'm going to look over here first. So this is there's device if I know the user might be only channel. Okay. There's some really popular advice floating around YouTube right now, and it sounds accurate. But the truth is, if you follow it, you will not grow as fast as you possibly could. So that was not the exact line. Again, just ad libbing. Then I look back. So it says, here's the thing. That's not how YouTube's algorithm work, and I can prove it. I've launched 2 channels last year. One I promoted, one I didn't. The difference in how YouTube responded tells you everything you need to know. So it's even a little AI-ish, and so I definitely don't even want to say it in that way. So the advice is don't tell people about your YouTube channel. Don't send people to watch your videos because it will mess up the algorithm. But here's the truth. Okay, see, now I lost my spot, so I got to go back. But here's the truth. That's not how the algorithm works. In fact, I can prove it. I actually launched 2 experimental channels in the last year. One of them I told people about, one of them I did not. And the difference in growth was staggering. But more importantly, it's not just, yes, you should tell people about your channels. It's also how you should tell people about your channels. So now I've cut that line. I look back over here. Okay, this is about my friend Jamie. My friend Jamie has a pretty big email list, and she sent a video link to her list. And that video got 5,000 views in the first week. First video she ever published. So yes, that helped, but you can go in and look at her analytics, and half of those views came from people that were not on her email list because it was from YouTube recommending her videos. So just to come back here in case you are curious at all, I ad-libbed around this. This is the section that I just did. I did not read this word for word. Let's see, which camera am I on now? I need lights on the cameras so I know. So I did not read this word for word. The reason that I like doing it that way is because you come across a lot more natural and you literally don't have to read any or memorize anything. Now, you may, of course, still want to like read through it first and at least have an idea for it. Or maybe you look at it and you ad lib it just to kind of get the words in your brain. Some people in our program like to do that first. But again, no memorization. Now, here is the biggest tip that I can give you if you are going to do this, okay? One of the problems with putting them on teleprompters and reading them is that they come across, less natural. But more than that, people tend to see your eyes move, right? And it's like, oh, their eyes are moving. In TV, they actually have much bigger teleprompters and they're like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away. And that's why you can't see the anchor's eyes moving when they're doing that. But when you're working at home, oh, hang on, Candy's calling in. I got it. I answered. You coming in this way?
What's up? Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm gonna go. Yeah. I'm gonna go camp.
It's not thunderstorming yet.
It is. It's fine. If I get struck by lightning.
Okay. If you came late, Candy was stuck in traffic, so she's joining us a little late here in just a second. I'll bring her on. But the problem is they see your eyes move. And all home teleprompters pretty much have that because they're not as big and they're much closer to you. So if a teleprompter is further away, a TV person taught me this, I didn't know this, then they can't see your eyes move. So, but here's the thing. When you are placing your script, don't have it right below your camera if you can. Have it over to the side somewhere. So if we go back to this view here, like I always have it on a monitor that is far away from the camera because I don't want to accidentally look down on it as I am recording. Actually, I got to come back to this one so you can even see that. I don't want to accidentally like glance down as I'm recording. And the other thing that you do sometimes is if it's down below, you'll look at the line and then you'll start saying it before your eyes come up. Or you'll finish the line or almost finish the line and you'll look down for the next line before you're done with the line. And then you get into editing and you go, why does this happen? So move the script a little bit further away. That's the biggest thing. So any questions about this, or does this make you feel completely uncomfortable? Let us know in the comments right now. And let me welcome Candy from outside. Hi.
Hey.
You survived the Seattle traffic.
Oh,
can't hear you.
I am so good at explaining traffic. You can't hear me at all?
Can barely hear you.
What's going on,
I can hear
Yeti?
you just a teeny, tiny bit.
Teeny bit. Let me turn this up. Can you hear me now?
Figure that out, but I'll leave you on camera. I don't know if you need to change the microphone or what. While she's fixing that really quick, I wanted to tell you, once you're making your videos, the most important thing to do is to train YouTube's algorithm to understand your channel. So when you are trying to, everybody else can hear Candy? Oh, it's just me? Okay. Oh, maybe I just turn up my volume.
I think this is starting to sound really suspicious suddenly. Oh, I can't hear her.
Can't hear you.
Huh?
Good thing I'm the engineer for this show, huh? Because I know how to.
Huh?
For anyone who is thinking like, I'm not a techie person, believe me, it happens to all of us. I am a techie person, and I literally was like, can't hear you, and it's because I hadn't had anybody on the show yet, and my volume was down. So thank you everybody for chiming in.
But one thing. I know people are in the comments right now talking about the difference between memorizing the script and delivering it and the way that you just described it as you get like a chunk of it in your head and then you turn and then you come back. Can you talk about how long it took you to kind of realize that was kind of the best way for you to do it?
Oh, I started that way. I thought everybody did. It was one of those things where I just thought, this is what everybody does. Because again, early days especially, I didn't have time to memorize anything. I literally just wrote out bullet points and then I would look at the script and then bring it back. And I was actually on a coaching call with somebody a few years ago and they were like, I'm trying to memorize my script. And I'm like, you don't need to memorize it. And she said, how else can you do it? And I was like, and so on a Zoom call, I was like, here's what I do. And she was like, I don't think people know that. So it was one of those things that I didn't know, and I'm not saying it's the most special secret thing in the world, but it was one of those things that I just always did because I didn't have time to memorize anything.
Well, from working in, I'm glad you shared that, but from working in and TV and radio and other types of media, is scripting is very different. Like sometimes you wing it and then wing it. That's that's usually what I do.
Yes.
And then sometimes you have the bullet points of stuff that you have to get in because it's a sponsored thing or it's something you really want to convey, especially with those of us who are entrepreneurs and trying to get offers that actually convert. You have to convey those certain sales points, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
miss it. So that's why doing it the way that Jerry was showing is very, first of all, it's very efficient, but it does help you sound more natural.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ashley says, I love not using a script, but bullet points work. Yeah, there you go. All right. So we are going to talk about the how to sound more natural on camera here next. But I just wanted to share really quick. Once you start making videos, this is, like if you're not getting, or if you're already making them, you're not getting the views you want. The most important thing to do is to train the algorithm to understand your channel. And most people get stuck in their own expertise. They make videos about too many related, even though they're related, too many different topics, and YouTube gets confused and it can't match your videos to viewers, which is what YouTube wants. YouTube doesn't want you putting time into videos that don't get seen. They want you to put time into videos that go with a certain viewer and then they match them up. So I just wanted to give our YouTube Backstage viewers a heads up. I'm teaching a workshop on this. Normally, this is part of our $1,000 signature YouTube program, YT90 Activation Lab, but I am teaching a workshop about this coming up next week called the Magnetic 8 Method. These are the 8 videos, the first or next 8 videos that you publish. I'm going to take you through the process of exactly how to come up with them for your business. Yours will be different from anybody else. Those exact 8 topics. And from that, we'll also develop a channel filter to keep you on track going forward. And this is the first key step. So this workshop is only $27 for the first 50 tickets. And you can go to, I have it right here, donebylunch.co/8 if you want to grab them while they're only $27. And it's coming up next Wednesday. Replay is also included with that. So again, you can grab that there. Love this. Ashley says, I always try to think I'm having a friendly conversation with whoever is on the other side of the screen. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Gord2440 says, I use an online teleprompter called QPrompter. I can make the text quite large so I can be further away from it. Yeah, the tricky thing with that, Gord, is it's not the distance of the teleprompter. It's that then the camera is also further away. Now, if you are using a camera with a zoom lens, then that is easily solved because the teleprompter can be further away and then the camera can zoom in. But what I do is I'm just using a nice webcam. And so I can't zoom in it at all. So if I move the camera further away, then bye.
You look great back there.
Yeah, I'm further away too. So, but that's awesome if that works for you. And as long as you feel like you're coming across natural.
And the only other thing I would mention there too is watch your lighting on that because Jerry just kind of demonstrated like the detail of the distance. Go back in the back. Go back again. Go back to the doors. Watch his face. You see how it completely changed the structure of his face. So it's not just that you're further away, it's that now we can't see you. And what he is using right now in that particular room is just natural window light. I am outside right now in a rainstorm. Can you hear the rain?
No. Not at all.
It's very soothing. It's like a little white noise machine right now. So I got my little cozy coffee, my dolly on, and I'm just chilling in the rain. I need a book. I just need a good book.
To cuddle up with? Yeah, I can't hear the rain. Maybe other people can, but...
okay, it's pretty loud.
Linda said, but it would need more editing doing it your way, Jerry, right? Yes, and this is something that took a long time when I first started, was the editing. But in the last few years, we have transcript-based editing where it generates a transcript and you can just highlight all the mistakes and take out all the pauses. So I use Descript. You can find information about it on that donebylunch.co/gear page. And literally it has a thing called shorten word gaps and remove retakes, and literally does the whole thing in like 10 seconds. So once upon a time, yes, that would take more time. And actually, I did buy a teleprompter back in the day, back when you had to like, it was still $200. Like this one I have now has a built-in screen. It was under $200 when I got it, but I had to actually, download special software on my iPad that reversed the words to make them backwards and then stick them in there every time and then it was awful. And so I bought it thinking, oh, this will save me time on editing, not for YouTube. It was actually for a course I was creating. And I just hated it. I hated the way I sounded, and it sat in the closet for many, many years before I finally got rid of it. So that was that was that. Yeah. Linda says, there are 2 chat lines here. I don't see Ashley's comments, but the one I'm on right now. Yeah. So we are streaming to a bunch of different places. So we're streaming to Facebook, X. I don't think the Instagram stream kicked in. LinkedIn.
It didn't.
Yeah. So different places there. By the way, if you're watching on LinkedIn, the tool we're using doesn't show LinkedIn comments, but I will come back and reply to those later. So
Hello,
please
LinkedIn.
keep commenting if you are there. And if you're watching on LinkedIn and nobody's commented, then you could be the first. Welcome. So, yeah. All right. So let's talk about how to sound more natural on camera. So we already talked about ad-libbing here, so that you can basically go through and instead of trying to like read it, which is going to sound less natural, ad-libbing is always going to sound more natural, even if it doesn't feel as polished or feel as professional. You don't have to, it doesn't matter what kind of professional you are, doctor, lawyer, whatever, you don't have to be perfect in your videos. And if you're joining us late earlier, we talked about how, in 2026, perfection can actually make people trust you less with certain things. So that's one thing is, ad-libbing, like we talked about. Another one is, I like to say is to warm up, to do whatever you need to do to be filming in your best state of mind. So for some people, that's having like a pump up playlist that you put on. Sometimes it's dancing around, shaking it out, whatever it might be. Or maybe you just have a phone call with a friend before you film, or a FaceTime or something like that. Just get your mouth used to moving, things like that. I'm not here suggesting you should do like vocal warm-up exercises or anything like that.
How dare you?
I know. Some people live and die by those, and that's fine.
Vocal cords are a muscle. Come on, people. You could, but that's a good point. If you're recording something first thing in the morning, because that's your only time you can get it done, you might look like an idiot doing, but at least it's making your mouth and your face like open up and be awake a little bit before you launch into a script. That'll probably save you 5 minutes right there.
Yeah. And again, it's all comes down to the amount of time that you have. One thing that I noticed when I used to record a bunch of videos in a row is usually about halfway through the first video, I warmed up. And so maybe the best warm up you can do is to record your first video, and then, depending on how long it was, maybe just record that one again. And the first time was your warm up or something like that. So Candy, what else do you have for people to sound natural and feel more comfortable on camera?
So I'm very good with bullet points, but when I know that something is very important, because I wing it a lot, if I know something is very important, I will read that line 3 times in my head before I get to it in the script. Especially if it is a word, and you may have a couple of these words that you get tongue-tied on, or something along those lines. Like I worked with somebody for a long time. For some reason, she could not say the Israeli military. And so we were joking around that every single time Israeli military came up, she would say something like the Middle Eastern regime's military forces, or whatever it was. And so there's words like that will trip you up. It's an ongoing joke, rural juror from what was that, 30 Rock?
30 Rock, yeah. Israeli military. Israeli now I can't say it.
Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Like there's just certain names that are things that trip people up. And if you are, especially in a very technical field, a medical practice, something along those lines, and those things are coming up in a script, really question that. Do I need those words in here right now for this particular video? And you might not. So that's one way to sound more natural, is just use a more natural sounding word coming out of your mouth. What's going to trip you up and what's not.
Yeah. To change what the word is. When I first started saying entrepreneurs more than business owners or entrepreneurship, I struggled with it a lot. Like there's even a video I did for another channel where the editor just decided, it's like somebody else edited the video, they just left all of the outtakes in there. I'm like, entrepreneur, that's hard to say.
It is an anarchist entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great tip. Ashley kind of hinted on this earlier, but one of the things that we used to do in radio, I don't know if I really ever did this. We told the boss we did this because they suggested it, but it might be helpful, is, instead of picturing or looking at the camera, picture your dream viewer sitting on the other side of the lens. Picture that person that needs your help. and have a conversation just with them. A couple of radio stations we worked at, you know, they defined the ideal listener, and then they had a cardboard cutout of them in the room, so you could just talk to, you know, Lisa or whoever it was. But
Your little
yeah,
avatar of Emma or whatever it is.
yeah, picture that person. And sometimes even when I've, you know, pivoted or narrowed and I'm making content for a new person, I'll think of like an ideal client, and I've used a few of my actual clients. They don't know this. I don't want to weird them out, but I'll just sit there, and instead of thinking like, oh, I have to make this YouTube video that will hopefully win the algorithm and get all these views, I just go, oh, you know, so-and-so just asked me this question. I'm just going to make a video showing them how to do it, or showing them or explaining what the answer is. And that has been really, really helpful for me. And then the last one I had written down ahead of time is literally just like make more videos. This is one of those things where the more videos you make, the better you're going to get at it. And I know that's not the answer that any of us want to hear, but it's true. If you stick with it and you do it consistently, you will get better. Anything else to add about that, Candy?
I do have one specific thing that I think helps you, you know, when you say just make more videos, sometimes it's frustrating advice, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, just do it more. Okay. But
Yeah.
one thing that you can do, I apologize if so some people said in the chat you could not hear the rain, but
I
I'm
can hear it
literally
now.
living like a flash dance moment right now. Like if I tip it back, like I'm gonna
we can
get
hear the rain
soaked
now.
in water. Yeah, so it's one, I like it. It's wonderful. But one thing for sounding more natural really could be giving yourself some guardrails of how many takes you're going to allow yourself to do. And what I usually find is third take is always best. First take, I'm figuring out the words in my head. Second take, my mouth is making the right sounds. Third take, boom, I'm like totally done. And
Yeah.
that's usually sounds more natural. And if we're doing the system of, I'm going to look at the chunk of what I'm going to say, I'm going to say the chunk, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to go again. By the time you do that 3 times, you're just going to be more relaxed, and the flow will be there.
And now I'm feeling guilty for giving the annoying advice, make more videos. As though I said, I'm afraid of spiders, and somebody said, oh, spend more time with them.
Yeah, it's exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, spend more time with spiders.
And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should change the way I say that is not make more videos, but if you continue making videos, it will get easier and you will become more natural.
Yeah.
You know, just something to look forward to. It's not, because you're right. That is a much better way to put it that way.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. We've got some tips to kind of bring all of this together, including when to batch record versus just, do it, record one video at a time. Should you change your outfit every video? Different things like that. So we'll get to those here in just a second. But I would love to know in the comments real quick, what has been most useful so far? What's been the most useful tip that you've gotten so far? Because this is helpful for us. Plus, other people may see them and go, oh, yeah, that is helpful. I forgot about that one. So would love to know right now. Paul says here on Facebook. Awesome. We're getting people on Facebook. We only promote this on YouTube.
Hi, Paul.
And then we stream to the other places, and we're like, we'll see we'll see what happens here. Ashley says, I definitely prefer the mistakes of a natural person, not the polished salesperson. Also, I always do warm up the voice and face warm-ups, and I record them because they make me laugh, and then I'm good to go. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. All right. So yeah, let us know what has been most helpful, and let's give some tips here to kind of bring it all together, starting with batch recording. So Candy, you've done a few projects over the years. You don't have any right now, but I mean, what is your feeling as someone who is, creating content for marketing purposes of batch recording versus doing one piece of content at a time?
Well, when you're talking about long form videos, in my mind, if you're batch recording and you put in the work to do the scripts ahead of time, you got your, titles and your thumbnails almost like in your mind already per video, but you're going in to do that big recording session. That's what we're talking about for batch recording. You go into those 3 or 4 scripts and you're like, I'm going to knock these out. And I get my ladies, our hair's all done. Our makeup is all perfect. The studio is set up the way it's set up the way we want it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like it looks good and you have it all set up and you're ready to go. And you might feel really motivated because you've blocked out that chunk of time to actually record in sequence how much you decided you want to do. What I like to do is say, you're done after 3 videos for batch recording because physically it does get exhausting. And I think we don't take that in consideration. before the wind up, as we're getting everything ready. So this is your pre-production time. You're getting everything ready. You feel really motivated. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to stand there for 4 hours till I get all this stuff done. And then the actuality is you get tired because you do have to do retakes. Something may not go right. You may get interrupted by something else, like all that stuff. So I say about 3 videos is what I would do for a batch record.
When I tell people that I recorded 12 to 15 videos in a row when I first started, they usually look at me like I'm crazy. But it was essential. Now, I didn't edit them all that day, right? I just recorded them, and sometimes there'd be a screen recording part that I would do later. But it was so much work to get the house empty, and I'd hope, I was using window light, so and we lived in Seattle at the time, so I was hoping for a cloudy day like this to get more even light, so I wasn't squinting, and there were so many variables. So if I could get one, I just needed to to record them all at once. When to batch record? One, if your setup is complicated. So for that, like I said, I think it took me, at least a half hour to set everything up and make sure like everything felt right. There were more things I did in the beginning too. I wore makeup when I first started because I was like, I got these big bags under my eyes. I was a little more afraid of just being me. So it was a lot. It was a whole production. So if your setup's complicated, batching can save you a ton of time because you're only setting up once for multiple videos. Next one is if getting ready takes a long time. So Candy mentioned if you're spending more time doing your hair, men or women, or, I was putting on makeup, things like that. Another time is if you have to make lots of arrangements, then batching can be great. Yeah. So let's say that you're doing something that requires an empty house and you got to get people out, and that's not a natural occurrence. Let's say you're doing something that you have to, you're streaming it, or it's uploading to the cloud or whatever. And if everybody in the house is all watching streaming video, then, it uses too much of your internet connection, whatever it might be. If there's a lot of things that have to be arranged, or you are, you only do it after you've had a manicure, for example, that's lots of arrangements. Cause I assume you're not doing that. I mean, maybe you're doing it every week, but if you have a monthly manicure, I don't know. I don't know how often people get manicures, but the point is, if there's lots of things to arrange, batching is a much better one. And then the last thing to keep in mind is if you have good days and challenging days, like, some days you're good and some days are tough. This could be because of, cycles. This could be because of, that you are great on Mondays, but you're exhausted by Fridays, whatever it might be. Then it can be great to batch. So you remove the pressure to, have to get this one video done. So that's kind of the main way that I look about that. We're working on a workshop for Growth Lab, our YouTube membership, to really kind of lay out strategies around batching to make it easier. But batching's not for everybody. The downside is sometimes you feel disconnected from your content. Like a video comes out and somebody's like, "Oh, I love your new video." And you're like, "Oh, what was that one?" You're like, "What did I talk about in that video? I made that 2 months ago."
You should probably know that one little thing. I would add to your list of when batching will really work for somebody, especially with entrepreneurs, because we kind of have, our fingers in a lot of pies, right? So maybe you have a quicker paced seasonal type of industry where you're going to be really busy with something else during a certain time in your industry. Batching ahead of time is a lifesaver. Or maybe it's something where you have travel set aside for personal reasons, like something big is happening in your life. Batching saves you there too. So that content will always be out there working for you behind the scenes, even when your attention is directed elsewhere. So you can honestly look at your calendar and go, "Oh, I know between this month and this month, maybe I'm speaking somewhere, or this is my convention time that I'm going to go to a couple of different things, or my mastermind is meeting then, or whatever it is," and you want to focus something else. Batching that month in advance, 2 months prior, a month prior, will really help you out. So that's right there. Looking at a calendar is going to help you a lot with batching.
And that's where you may find batching sometimes is okay, and regular. Otherwise, you do one a week. And batching also doesn't have to be 12 or 15. You could do 2, and then 2 weeks later batch 2 more. I recorded all my YouTube videos for while we were going to be traveling this summer because I didn't want to record my YouTube videos here in this space. And but I'm editing them, while we're traveling, but I recorded them all ahead of time. Another thing with batching too, to be aware of is sometimes if you batch too much, you by the time it's time to record again, you're like, how did I do this? What does this go? Where does this camera go? What do I do? So always write stuff down so that you remember
That's a
that. So
good
you don't have to
point.
figure it out every single time. So, okay. And then another thing that comes up a lot, and I know this is different for men and women, so I'm going to give my male perspective first and then let Candy share hers, because it's, I'm sure, going to be different. Do I have to change my outfit? If I'm batching and I record 5 videos in a row, do I have to have 5 different shirts ready? That's certainly going to make it longer. It's going to slow down the recording time. When I started my channel, I had one shirt and I wore it in every single video. Occasionally I'd bring it up in a video and I'm like, if you're watching my channel for the fashion, you are in the wrong place, right? There's no point in this. Now I have some different shirts that I rotate through, but I don't worry about it. I'll record 3 videos in a row that are coming out 3 in a row with the same shirt on. That being said, I know women face more scrutiny than men do. And so you have to come up with, what you're most comfortable with. But Candy, your thoughts?
It's different for everybody. I know that's a non-answer, lame answer, but it is, because if you are a person who has a makeup channel, and if you're in the exact same outfit every single time you do makeup, that makes sense, because makeup is a canvas. So your shirt's going to be black or it's going to be white, because I'm supposed to be focused on your face. But if you're doing a channel where, obviously you're a doctor, you don't need to be wearing a lab coat every single day in all of your videos. You can be wearing like a regular, I don't want to see your "This Buzz for You" t-shirt if you're a doctor. But like, you will make some fashion decisions based on, all the time, the image you want to project. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm like today, I'm wearing my Dolly Parton t-shirt with my sparkly sleeves because it's amazing and she's a national treasure. So you can keep your opinions to Dolly to yourself, because I will not hear of it. But the point is, if I was doing something much more professional, I may not wear the Dolly t-shirt with the sparkly studded sleeves. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do want to change up how that thumbnail is looking, that's a different story. So your thumbnail,
yeah, you don't have to match. You don't have to have the same shirt on.
You don't have to match it. Yeah, I did have somebody ask me that in the community a couple of days ago. Like, oh, well, that thumbnail on my sweater doesn't match the shirt that I'm wearing in the video. I'm like, I don't care. But, you want to wear something that makes you feel confident, makes you feel good in whatever that you're doing. If you're doing workout videos and you're standing there in a 3-piece suit, I'm wondering what is happening right now. Are you selling me supplements, or are you showing me how to do a squat? I don't understand.
That sounds like an amazing juxtaposition, though. Let's leave it with this. If you changing outfits is the thing that prevents you from getting the videos done, just find something generic. Like, I'm wearing this black Henley today, and I imagine I could wear it for 52 videos in a row, and people aren't they're not paying that close attention. Again, different for women potentially. I did see a post this morning from a TV anchor somewhere, and she's been in her job for 8 years, and she said, I haven't bought anything new in 4 years. And she just showed her wearing the same dress on TV over and over and over again. I've seen some other TV people do that as an experiment to see if anybody notices, because there is this belief in some TV markets, bigger ones, where you have to have you can't ever wear the same dress twice because viewers complain, which just seems crazy to me.
So I have a friend who's quick story. I have a friend who's a meteorologist, and a couple of years ago, the female meteorologists, they're all together, like in group. There's not very many of you. They're all in groups. And one of them said, you guys, I found the greatest dress for HD cameras. And it's because when all the cameras had switched over to HD, everyone was like, ooh, my makeup has to be different. The colors I wear are showing up different. My hair has to be different. So they had to make some adjustments. And so hers was, I found this dress, and she like blasted it out to a group. And then suddenly all the female meteorologists across the country of a certain age were wearing this exact same dress because it picked up so well on camera. I was like, this is my favorite. I love ladies helping ladies. Good job. Good job, you guys.
Then you know what? They should all just wear the same dress every single day. And I know some people will be mad about that, but.
Well, Jerry, with our coloring, we can't all wear the same thing all the time.
I'm very grateful to be a guy.
Come on.
All right. Most helpful today. Dan, Ask Broker Dan 2016 says, do it more. Gord 2440 says, look away at the script, then deliver back to the camera. Let's see. KDKF9 says, it's true. The more I do something, the easier it gets, and I get better. Same for public speaking, be on a live panel. Exactly. Yeah. And this is always true. There's a story about a college professor who was teaching a photography class, and he said, if you have, I've divided the class in half. One half of the class, you have to take 100 pictures of anything this semester, and you'll just be graded on, you'll get an A if you take all 100 pictures. The other half of the class, you have to take one picture, and you only have to turn in one picture, and it's like, it has to be the best picture. And so one half of the class is like, oh, we got to take 100 pictures. Well, in the end, the half of the class that took the 100 pictures with no expectation of how good they were all took better photos than the one that took one picture. It's just, that's life. Ashley said 12 to 15 full-length videos. Geez, how long were they? 5 to 12 minutes, depending on it. Depending on what it was. It was an undertaking, but it was the only option I had.
And that's referencing the batch recording. How many videos did Jerry previously batch record in one setting?
Yeah. Katie KF9 said, thanks for that recognition that physically and emotionally doing too much at once can drain our energy. You pay and it shows. Yeah.
I mean, you will literally watch those videos, be like, hey, I have a lot of energy. Hey, we're going to talk about this. Or this. And the next video, you're like, yeah. So you remember when, and then the next video, you're just kind of.
You're slowly drifting off.
It was like slowly melting.
Yeah. Ashley said, we saw a Superman shirt on a mannequin at a store the other day. And we said, hi, Jerry. I did wear all superhero shirts in my videos for a while. It kind of became a thing. But yeah, absolutely love that. All right. We would love to have you in our Magnetic 8 workshop coming up next week. Like I said, we just released tickets this morning, and it is only $50 for the first it's only $27 for the first 50 tickets. So if you want to grab those, you can go to donebylunch.co/8. This is how you learn to train the algorithm so that YouTube recommends your videos to new people. I'll be teaching it live. You can get feedback. And then everybody who creates their Magnetic 8 topics by Sunday, what's today? Oh, sorry, by next Sunday.
Thursday.
Basically, the workshop's on Wednesday. So whether you watch it live or the replay, if you finish your 8 and submit them by Sunday, I'll personally give you feedback, and that's all included in this live workshop. So
can I say something about the Magnetic 8 really quick?
Yeah.
The practice of actually doing this process, you end up learning a lot about your business. And so whenever we do this process with people, they always go, oh yeah, I never thought about that. That is what I do. And it always makes me laugh because you're so good at what you do, but you need an outsider perspective, or at least somebody guiding you from the outside to make you realize how great you are. And sometimes you go, oh, right, that I am awesome.
Love
and
that.
It takes you a second. And so the Magnetic 8 is great at doing that, because then you're not missing that greatness, because you have to let that show to people, especially when you're training the YouTube algorithm. And so those are your ideal clients that are out there, and you want them to see it. So that's why doing the process of the Magnetic 8 is actually a little gift in itself, because you learn so much about your business.
All right. Sounds like Candy's about to get eaten by a crow. So that's it for this week of YouTube Backstage. We'll be back next week at 12 Eastern Time, New York time. And if you're watching the replay, and especially if you made it this far, please leave a comment, say hello. We would love to know, or if you have any questions. And
we gotta go. I'm out.
Everybody next week.
I'm out.
Bye. Now I'm awkwardly trying to find the button. Here it is.
We gotta go.